thanks to Reader's Digest, they gave me a scholarship. And I came up from Texas, Houston, Texas. And to come from Texas and end up in St. Paul, Minnesota was a gigantic cultural shock. It's hard to explain, but a lot of things were really different. But I got to like it, and at the end of my freshman year, I met the woman who would become my wife, and that was so I'd say, even though I didn't get the professional job that was kind of offered out there, I got the best thing in my life, my wife. And so, but after, I think it was either in my junior year or at the beginning of my senior year that I met John. And he had been at McAllister, and then he dropped out. And I never asked him why. I can imagine after meeting John that there was all kinds of reasons that could have been made that necessary, but he had come back, and John was, I was a product of the folk scare of the 60s, so I had got my nylon string guitar and learned Peter, Paul, Mary, Kingston Trio, that sort of stuff. And I ran into John, and John was playing jug band, and I loved it. And he was, I'd say, one of the most consummate performers I've ever seen, in that he was totally himself all the time, and you like it or leave it. John was going to be who he was, and he was remarkable. He was lots of energy and lots of excitement. He didn't always sing in tune, he didn't always play in tune, but you had a good time when he was done. So we, after I graduated, I started playing, well actually during the time I started playing with John, I first started playing in jug bands. And this was a new thing for me, but I loved the music. And music mainly from the South, black people who played on a wash tub bass, blew into a jug for a bass if they didn't have a wash tub, and played guitar, played bottleneck, fiddle, mandolin. So John he formed about 3 or 4 jug bands while I knew him in a period of about a year. And I got to play in most of them. One of the most memorable was the Rudolph's Reunion and Dog Show. And we played at the New Riverside Cafe. John had been, in his time off from McAllister, Denison of the West Bank, and during his glory years. And so he, in many ways, introduced me to the West Bank after I had made a few visits on my own. Our dog show, there was a dog show. We played the New Riverside Cafe, which at that time was very much of a co-op, and those people still have stayed together. They used to offer meals for what you thought they were worth. Again, this was the 60s, you know, so so they were pretty idealistic, and they invited us to play there, and they knew we had a dog show, and so when we came to play, we brought in our dogs. And I had one dog, and I think John had a couple, and the bass player had another one. And they kind of free-for-all over the place. But with John, it made sense. It totally made sense. The other beautiful thing at that time was John invited me up to his cabin, and I think that must have been, yeah, because I know he was living up there in the summer. And I got to meet Ole and Daisy, and pretty remarkable that I feel honored to have met them, actually eaten some meals with them. And in fact, in our house, we've lived in over 40 years in the Dayton's Bluff area of St. Paul, in an old renovated row house. We did the renovation, and it was pretty sparse, pretty barren when we first got there. And Ole heard about it, and Ole used to walk the lines. He used to walk the lines to knock down trees, bushes, stuff like that to keep things clean. And when I came to visit one time, he came and gave me these 2 sticks and said, "This is for your house." I go, "Great." And he said, "No, those are maple trees. I picked them out for you, and you plant them in your front yard." And those maple trees overshadow our house. They're over 45 feet tall, and amazing. So we're reminded of that. So the heritage John came from was remarkable. I discovered he had an incredible 78 collection that he never played, and and so we went, and they still sold needles in Evelyn, Virginia. I can't remember which one, but you could still buy the needles for the phonographs and wind up and so I started playing them, and we started learning the songs. And I got excited then about country music and the types of stuff we were doing. I had been fortunate enough after my sophomore year to go over to Europe and on a program they had called Student Work Abroad Project. And when I was there, I said, I got to come back because I got to go into Denmark and I wanted to go farther into Scandinavia. So I decided I was going to go, I think this was the summer, well, after I graduated and found that I couldn't get a job. It was just as bad then as it is now, but for a lot of us. And after my first job, which was making Christmas wreaths at the cemetery for Christmas, and that was after being employed for about 4 months, so that comes to that. And I decided, well, it's time for me to do something else. And I said, I'm going to hit the road. And at that time, you could buy cheap tickets, and I bought tickets to go to Germany. And because I had lived the summer there, and I could speak some German. And John gave me the address of John and Susie Everett, some friends of his that he'd met. And so I go see John and Susie. They're in Heidelberg. Well, I landed in Frankfurt, and I didn't know that Heidelberg was only an hour away by train. But after walking all day and finding out they couldn't afford to find a hotel, I said, I'm going to go visit John and Susie, meet these folks. And I ended up staying with them for 15 months. But staying with them was living in a VW bus, I should tell you. We were street singers, and we were playing with a fellow who was from Moncton, New Brunswick, who had been living in France for quite a while, who was really another original like John. And we were having a great time. I was playing with them. They had already had a guitarist, Susie, but I decided I wanted to stay with them and do whatever it took. And I played spoons, which was nice. I had to learn how to do that. So but I said, this is great. We got to tell John. I wrote John several times. So you got to come over, John. You can't believe you can actually live by playing music on the streets here in Europe. And John said, well, I got a couple things I got to take care of, but I'll try to get over. And he came over in the fall, and then we ended up, after playing on the streets, being picked up by an agent who booked us gigs and festivals. Wow. And we played almost entirely in Germany, but we played some gigs in Switzerland and in France. And it was quite a ride, mainly because there were 5 of us living in a small VW bus. We got to know each other better than we wanted to, but it was still remarkable. But John, who had many talents but did not speak German, but he picked up enough German, so he actually would tell, part of our act was he would tell us a story, a joke, and I can't do it. I thought about, can I do it? No, I couldn't do it. But he actually could do it in half English, half German, and we called it Danglish. He's going to speak to you in Danglish. And there's that picture of John looking like he would use that growl, and the people loved it. He played washed-up bass, he played auto harp, he played all kinds of, whatever he could pick up, he would play. For one thing, they didn't know what washed-up bass was in Germany, and it took us a while to find one, which was actually a construction bucket that's about twice the size of a regular bass. And it was a wonderful sound, though, and so he wanted to bring it home, but it was cost too much to bring it back to the U.S. when it came. I guess I could go on for quite a while on John, and happily do so. So much life, so much energy. Very stubborn. I think he's the one person, I think even more so than my wife, which I remember one time, he was the angriest I'd ever been at another human being. I wanted to kill him. And we had to play a gig together. And it was probably one of the best gigs we ever did. But I don't know, it's fine, it's so hard to tried to think, well, what kind of things can I do that would summarize in any way John? And it's not possible. But the kind of music I played was string band music and jug band music, combinations of a little bluegrass and whatever we could get away with. John wrote a number of tunes, and I won't do those either, because as I said as memorial service, some of those aren't appropriate either. So. But one of the tunes he loved to sing, and he sang early on in jug bands, and then sang it with, we actually recorded 2 LPs when we were, and we recorded them at Sound 80, which at the time was the best studio in Minnesota. And they paid, the Intercord company, which is a German record company, paid to have us record there. And this is one of those tunes, but you have to sing with, okay? And you'll understand that it's not that tough. It's based on an American fiddle tune called Flop Eared Mule. Flop-eared mule, flop-eared, flop-eared, flop-eared mule, flop-eared mule, flop-eared mule, flop-eared, flop-eared mule. Mule, 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 flop-eared, flop-eared, flop-eared mule, 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 flop-eared, flop-eared mule. Think you got it? Real world, real world, real, real, real world, real world, real world, real, real world. World, 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 real, real, real world, 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 real, real world. Flop-eared world, flop-eared world, flop-eared, flop-eared, flop-eared world, flop-eared world, flop-eared world, flop-eared, flop-eared world. World, 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 flop-eared, flop-eared, flop-eared world, 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 flop-eared, flop-eared world, flop-eared, flop-eared mule, flop-eared mule, flop-eared, flop-eared, flop-eared mule, flop-eared mule, flop-eared mule, flop-eared, flop-eared mule. I was supposed to introduce myself, wasn't I? I'm Bob Douglas. I'm on both the albums. I mean, actually, Carol just showed me today something I forgot. She showed a picture of the string band that I played with John and Susie Everett, and Louis had to leave after the first year, so it was just John and myself and John and Susie. And the 4 of us played right here in Virginia at Rochester High School.
The Goodman Auditorium.
Goodman Auditorium, oh, Goodman Auditorium. See, I'm a stranger here, I guess. But, John also, I played with another group, the New Prairie Ramblers, and we got to play, we were the house band for Harrison Keeler's Spring Companion for 1 year, and John booked us in this very hall, so I played here before, and it was a lot of fun. And then he wrote the review. It was great. It was quite a friend, actually. I'll see if I can do this. This was one of the recordings that we did. On one of the recordings, it's a tune from Noah Lewis, who played music with the Gus Gannon's Jug Stompers, and it seemed appropriate because we ended up doing 3 tours of Germany. One was the first one, then we came back for 3 months, then we came back for 6 weeks, so it was a nice gig. I'm going to Germany. I'll be back some old day. I'm going to Germany. I'll be back some old day. I'm going to Germany. I'll be back some old day. When you was in trouble, I went and paid your fine. When you was in trouble, I went and paid your fine. Now I'm in trouble. You don't pay me no mind. Tell me, mama, what more can I do? Tell me, mama, what more can I do? Done everything I can, try to get along with you. I'm going to Germany. I'll be back some old day. I'm going to Germany. I'll be back some old day. I'm going to Germany. I'll be back some old day.
I want to invite